I finished my master's just in September 2020. I did my master's in e-health from Mac, and my focus was on developing convolutional neural networks to classify imbalanced data set in cancer imaging for liver, MRI scans. So that's what my background is, a bit of a technical too. Other than that, I start my own tutoring. So it's called Kaksha. So I spend my time teaching students, both IB, AP, as well as high school students on calculus, physics, and chemistry. So here and there, I try to spend more time, as much as I have, to not only give back but also uh, build my experiences whenever I can.
So I don't think a lot of people know what a data analyst does. So I guess in layman terms, can you please expand more on, I guess, your role and what is a data analyst, if it's okay with you?
Yeah, sure. So my role is much more on making sure we are keeping up with the data quality with regards to wait time reporting. So we want to make sure that for any particular test for MRI and CT, we are keeping up with the provincial guidelines and provincial. So, for example, if a particular procedure, for example, if any procedure that comes under diagnostic imaging, for example, uh, it might be a prostate scan or CT guided biopsy. We want to make sure if the patient is booked, we can have that the procedure being done within a set amount of time that falls within the provincial guidelines. So just trying to make sure how we can improve on that and making sure all the data that we are being reporting has a better data quality, as well as within organization reporting. So we do have ad hoc requests. So we try to meet up to that both in diagnostic imaging as well as lab. So that's what my role, moves around on a typical day. So yeah, I mean, a lot of people have a different definition for data analyst. So if you think about a much more technical perspective, there might be people who are dealing with a junior data scientist role. Those guys can also fall into the definition of data analyst. So essentially, making sure that when you get into this role, you not only have a good idea of how to look in what data sets, but also making sense of the current data that is given to us and giving out good insights that can help drive decision making. So that's something very pivotal. And I think all organizations are now becoming data savvy. Everyone wants to make use of data. And yeah, so our role is to make sure that we are able to answer any business question and bring about efficient decision making.
Okay, so when it comes to the aptitude or the nature or the personality, what type of could actually fulfill the required responsibilities?
Yeah. I mean, actually, just 2 days ago, I was reading an article. I think it was on Healthcare IT News on what should be expected out of data analyst role or someone who is managing a data team. Now, to answer your question best, it's not required for you to actually be so savvy at a technical skill, but do have the zeal to learn more, not only on the basis of learning what to do with the data with some of the statistics that you can understand, but also asking the right questions. We have a lot of data around us, but if we do ask the right question at first, and making sure we can understand that process that starts by the discussion table and asking what people need to address. For example, it may be a quality improvement, but what was the baseline? What was the baseline a few months ago? Where do you want to go? And what are some of the bottlenecks that you are seeing on your data set when you are collecting your data? So those are definitely the ideas that one should always have before even diving into the technical aspect. Because nowadays there's a lot of AI being involved in a lot of business intelligence tools. So there's a lot of help that the tools can give you. But again, the baseline, I believe, is always going to be on the idea of, are you able to think about the data sets and asking the right questions with your team. So that's definitely one thing that I truly think is going to empower a lot of people who want to get into this role.
Right. But what about the personality type? Like, yeah, that's a particular trait that you're mentioning, right? Like, but depending on the nature of the work, what do you think is the personality type that matches with this nature of work?
Yeah, I mean, definitely fast-paced. Requests come in anytime. So with regards to personality, I think one thing that has always helped me is being resilient. So making sure if something didn't work and you have to keep going back and forth, be open-minded, because what I might be making my analysis based on, the first discussion, and when I submit the report, that might be another kind of thinking from the stakeholder side. So I think having an open mind as a person when you are working is definitely useful, because you might have to change here and there. And it's a bit of work, but one has to understand that if they are being a bit flexible on the approach that one takes on analysis part, that's going to help them a lot.
So I just had a question in regards to your education, because I can tell from your LinkedIn that you did your bachelor's in chemistry, and then you pursued e-health. So I was just wondering, why did you pursue e-health? Was there a course in undergrad that you maybe took that convinced you to take e-health, or was there particular experiences, maybe in regards to co-op or any volunteering that you may have done during undergrad that convinced you to do e-health? So I'm just wondering, why e-health?
Yeah, I get that a question a lot. I mean, I started off with sciences. That's what interested me a lot. And chemistry was definitely one which suited my interest to look at things from the ground level and try to see what's going on under the rug, what's going on when we say a particular process is happening, okay? But I want to understand what's going on, at the atomic level, and try to understand all those ideas behind it. I think it was in third year of my undergrad, I got the opportunity to with a research team at Toronto Western Hospital in the University Health Network, and they were working on systematic reviews. So it was really amazing, the work that they were doing. And it turned out that a lot of the work that they were trying to accomplish going through stage 1 or stage 2 screening, as we call it in systematic reviews, I saw that there might be a possibility that that could be automated using natural language processing. So that really excited me to learn a bit more about what's happening in the healthcare field. And I was always intrigued by technology on the technical aspect. So I was a self-taught programmer. I learned myself in my second year of undergrad. And then that just got me curious. I think it was curiosity that drove me to learn more about eHealth. And it was actually through an alumni event at Mac that I came across a few of the guys from eHealth program. And one of them happened to be a mutual friend. So he said, maybe it's good that you could apply and understand a bit more about this space.
That's great. So I know you briefly mentioned that you self-taught programming, right? So I guess for people who are interested in going into artificial intelligence or data analysis, what advice or recommendations would you have for them in regards to, I guess, self-teaching themselves these programming tools or anything else? Do you have any advice for them, and also, like, what resource did you use to teach yourself these programs?
Well, definitely reach out to the community. So there's a huge community no matter what tool you're trying to learn. And I think one should always start, as I call it, the reverse approach. So you should always start with a project in hand and then try to learn all the tools that you need to use for that particular project or accomplishment. I think I can give an example. So for the one that we were trying to do, trying to automate the abstract screening, we had a goal in our mind, maybe it would not work out, but it would be worth learning about it because those skills might be useful in the near future. So at that time, NLP was just not a lot of people were trying to implement it. So we thought maybe we'll try to learn. Now, some of the tools I definitely used were Udemy. Those courses were really useful to me because I had the base programming knowledge from C++. So I was able to relate it very easily to programming languages such as Python. So that really helped me. Prior knowledge did definitely help me. For those who are starting out in programming and want to learn this aspect of data analysis using programming languages, I highly recommend that you take those online courses as a starting point because they give you a really good overview and you can have an understanding how easy for you it is to grab those information. And maybe down the road, you can take up some interesting projects when you participate in hackathons. That's definitely a place if you want to learn a bit more about your technical skill set and try to expand it. Yeah, there's no one approach, and I think the idea of um, instructor, like having a room and having an instructor to teach you, can never replace, online learning. But I think the world is changing, and the realm of education is also changing.
So Aditya, I think you also briefly mentioned, apart from you being a data analyst guru and an artificial intelligence guru, you also have a side gig, which is a tutoring business.
Yeah.
So I guess what I wanted to ask you was, why did you start the tutoring business? Was there like a passion behind it other than, like, because currently you're working a 9 to 5, so there should be some sort of a passion behind it. And the other question I wanted to ask you is, does having a business on the side other than working a 9 to 5, does it keep you happy at the same time?
Oh, definitely. I mean, usually what would happen is if you don't like anything, even the 9 to 5 is going to suck, right? Nobody would want that. uh, but it gives me a lot of energy just thinking about it that I have to go and teach someone and being part of their academic journey and making sure that I can translate a lot of complex concepts that they are having a bit of a trouble understanding and show them in simpler way that this is how this could be done, this is how you could be looking at it, and this is how you could percolate inside yourself. And the when we started Kaksha, there was only one goal in our mind. The goal was only on quality. So making sure that each and every student that we have a chance to deal with, to help them in their learning process, that show them that they can achieve and learn even more than what they think, and show them ways, show them strategy how they can enhance their learning from where they are and take on more and more knowledge. Because when it comes to university, there is no one approach that can help anyone, but there is always one approach that is the baseline, and that is having the habit of learning more and making sure that you're using some of the key strategies over and over again that can help you improve those habits down the road.
That's great. The other question I have for you is, I guess, because I believe we're gonna have different viewers from high school kids to undergrad students, and then so on, masters and adult students as well. So I guess for people who are interested in getting into not only eHealth, but I would say into the data fields or data in general, what advice would you have for them? Would you recommend them taking certain courses or pursuing, I guess, certain degrees, or or would you consider them to, just stick with school and then, just grind it out and then pursue their experiences from their undergrad degree? So I just wanted to get your opinion on that.
Yeah, or maybe should they drop out? That could be a question too.
Yeah.
Well, that's subjective. If someone does feel they want to pursue something else, by all means, you should feel free to do that. I think I get that question a lot. For example, we can consider smart people like Bill Gates, Elon Musk, and all those guys. And sometimes students try to relate, you don't need a degree to actually do great things. And then I tell them that is for sure. A degree is a way to train our minds that you can use the knowledge that you have and apply it in real world life. So there's definitely not a caveat, or people think that it's detrimental to get into a school and learn things. It's always good to learn from someone who has been in that role, from professors who are really experts in their own field and learn their own academic journey. And I think with regards to individuals, I think the space has changed. A lot of my students whom I've been teaching, since quite some time, they've been taking on hackathons. They've been participating in technical challenges from now since high school. So that, and I actually, I would really recommend people doing that. Go out of what you already know and try to challenge yourself. Initially, it might feel daunting that you are at that stage and you have to, compete with a different level of people, but don't be. There's only learning, and this will always help you move forward. And it has always helped me. I mean, I never felt the idea that you should not reach out to someone who has 10 or 15 years more of experience than you, maybe in any field. I mean, it's wise to reach out to them. They are more than happy to tell you their story. And who knows, you can learn something from them.
And people love talking about themselves. So if you ask the right questions, you might be making inroads.
That's right. So, yeah, I think, and as you said, right, so you will learn a lot about communication. Nowadays, if you improve your communication by just a 10%, that's a 50% improvement overall. So no matter if someone is super smart, but he cannot explain it to someone or write it down, do anything else, in my opinion, that's not going to help a lot of people, right? So there's a level of communication that's always needed. And these things, they teach you how to get into that space.
By these things, he meant the hackathons and other similar events, right?
Yes, definitely. And I mean, you can also participate in a lot of poster presentations if your school has that. And doesn't. There's a lot of opportunities that can help you to participate in high school programs from some of the universities, and those can be taken as a good starting point. At least you can get an idea of this is where you will be, and this is how you should navigate that space.
Yeah. Also, just a random question. It came to our mind because you tutor students. What do you think? How can they leverage their summer break, either to get good at communication, or any of the topics that you think would be beneficial for their trajectory, not necessarily in career, but both career and life? What's the best way to go based on your observation from your teaching gigs?
Yeah, sure. I mean, to me, all my students, they all continue with me in summer. So I actually teach everything in advance. So they are starting grade 11. A lot of my students will be. I start them early so that a lot of the concepts can become very clear and they can make good use of their time. Now, I don't recommend people to just stick to using their summertime for school courses. Those times are really important that you go out and explore. Maybe a particular company that you found around the block that was interesting, and maybe you want to, just learn or volunteer from them, and just go out and ask them. A lot of my students have been doing that, and that simply helps. Not only in going out there and learning about the things out there, but improving your communication. I think that's going to be the most important thing if you can convey your messages in brief as well as to the point manners.
Actually, so what are the lessons that you might have learned with you establishing a business while having a job? Is there any lessons or nuggets that other people can take from you based on your experience with that particular task at hand?
Yeah, starting a business is hard for sure, but I think the passion really helped me. I mean, I had actually gone door to door in a lot of my community, just try to make sure that I'm, going out there and I'm showing people that I have something to offer you. If there is something that you are interested in, I'm more than happy to give it to you. So that's definitely one. And the other thing, as I said, when you are working at a company, you are much more interested in just making sure that you are fulfilling your job roles. But when you are starting a business, it's all you. You are the customer service. You are the technical guy who's dealing with everything, as well as you are the same guy who's going to be dealing with any issues. So I think wearing multiple hats is what I like always. So that really came in clutch, as I say. And yeah, I think if you have something in your mind, may it be anything, not just tutoring, but anything that you feel that you have learned in your journey and you want to give it back, that idea itself is a fuel to your own success.
Yeah, could be anything.
Great.
That's a great tip. That's a great tip. Yeah, especially for someone like me, because I'm not someone who's very academic. As you can tell, I just like people. That's pretty much my strength. So yeah, so maybe I can make a course out of it and sell.
And I'll
Anyways.
be the one first to subscribe.
Subscribe, but you won't buy it. Okay, great. Thank you for that answer.
So Aditya, so the other question I had for you is, I think Inder kind of touched on this. I guess owning a business and working a 9 to 5, you got to have a lot of not only time management, but also a lot of you have to prioritize a lot of things at the same time, right? And juggle various tasks. So how do you do that as an individual? Because I think gaining those two skills is very hard for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Not only in not only owning a business but working a 9 to 5, but I think in having a career. So how do you deal with that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's something I actually don't think about a lot, because over a period of time, it's the habits that made me better at it. It wasn't just out of the blue that I got good at it. I think it was definitely over several years that I saw the value of time. And we all have 24 hours. It's just how you utilize it. And I think the goal on every day when I wake up is still the same. So how best can I improve myself? And what are some of the things I can give back through Kaksha? So those are the things I always constantly think about whenever I have time on my hand. And, we have our family, we have to go out. It's not that I don't do that. I do that too. But definitely making sure that I can, juggle everything around me. It's a bit intense, I can tell you that. There's a bit of slip. I mean, yeah, I would say 1 or a few hours you will get a few less sleep, but that's fine. If you have that passion and that fire going on, to give it to someone to make sure other people also benefit, I think those hours are worth it.
If you were to go back, I guess 10 years or so, or even if you were to go back to your high school, what advice would you give to the students if they're interested in pursuing, I guess, a data analyst or an artificial intelligence career, or even e-health, I would say?
Yeah, I mean, so if I were to time travel right now and I were to tell my younger self in high school, this is what you'll be doing in the future, I would definitely not tell him that you are going to pursue a role of data analyst and you need to start pursuing those skills. I think it's much more of a learning process because we don't know what the future holds. Um, I think we should be preparing students on the idea that no matter what you are doing, just give your 100%. So I think that has helped me all the time. I never thought of pursuing any of the things I'm doing right now. They all happened to fit in place as I went on with my experiences. But yeah, what has always helped me is whatever I take up, I give everything. I give it all my energy that I have, and whatever the outcome is, I would accept it. The only thing is, I don't want to regret that I didn't give my 100%.
Yeah.
Regret minimization. That's the plan.
Aha, that's the plan.
That's how I operate too. Yeah, I think of me dying. That's literally how I operate. Question.
That's great. So thank you everyone for listening to our podcast, and Aditya, thank you once again for rejoining us for an interview.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. It was nice talking to you guys.